We are in the kitchen with Chef Peter from Solu. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Great, glad to be here.
Yeah, of course. What are you cooking up? It smells so good.
So today we're going to do lobster chowder. So at Solu, for the whole month of August, we do something called Lobster Fest. So it's a 3-course meal you get featuring 2 courses of lobster, and this is one of the courses. So it's a chowder, which is like a soup. And so we started with a little bacon, and we rendered that out first. And so we're going to add our onions. Well, got to be careful there. But we're going to add our onions. So, you know, in Louisiana, mostly we cook with onions, celery, and bell pepper. But we're going to do a little more classic dish today. So instead of bell pepper, we're going to use some carrots. So one of the things that makes chowder different, because it's not something you get a lot in Louisiana. You know, we think about it more up on the northeast. So a couple of little rules that make chowder. One thing is that it's chunky. So even though I like to cut my vegetables a little smaller, they typically can be bigger, and there's going to be chunks of things that you might see in some of the ingredients. We have some potatoes here, some corn, we got the lobster. Those things stay chunky, and then it's usually finished with a little bit of cream. So, but just like every other dish, we started with the bacon, we rendered that. We're adding the onion, celery, carrots, and we're going to cook those just till they're, just till they start to soften. Now, when you had first come in, you saw my lobster, and you were asking me, like, well, where do you get your lobster? So they come from Maine or sometimes from Canada, but that means they're cold water lobsters. And the way you can easily tell by looking at a cold water lobster versus like a Florida lobster are claws.
Okay,
so
what's
cold
the
water
difference?
lobsters are going to have claws, and warm water, like Florida lobsters, they don't have those big. They don't have those big claws. A lot of people are scared of lobster, but they're kind of like big crawfish a little bit. They don't absorb the seasoning as well because their shell's really thick, but you can go buy them. Usually have to get them alive. Lobsters have to stay alive. Once they die, their meat deteriorates really fast. So they you know, when they come into us, they're packed in seaweed, and they're live. So, and then we boil them or steam them, kind of just like you do a crawfish. These are small, and this is probably what you're going to get in the store. These are probably like a 1-pounder. They call them chicks, and that's what we buy. They usually take about 8 to 10 minutes to cook. So we're going to add a little bit of garlic. I have a couple of bay leaves here, and then, you know, in Louisiana, we're going to make a roux. So we're going to add a little bit of flour to this. Now, we're not making a dark roux. We're making a white roux. So we just want to cook it for a couple of minutes because we just want to cook that like raw flour taste out. But we're not trying to get a, you know, a dark brown roux like we do for a gumbo or an étouffée or anything.
And instead of butter, you're basically using the bacon grease,
Using the bacon grease there. So, unless my wife was here, because she would probably want to strain that out. But no, that's what's going to give it great flavor, is that. So once we have that cooked, and again, it only takes a couple of minutes, we're going to use a little bit of white wine. So in my house, there's no such thing as leftover wine, but I hear some people have that, and, you know, they want to throw it away. I wouldn't necessarily drink the wine after a few days in the fridge, but it's great to cook with. So you could just save that, and, you know, whenever you have a recipe that has wine, just use some of that.
Does it matter which kind? It has to be white?
It has to be white, and it has to be
Chardonnay?
dry. Like, you don't want a sweet, you know, a sweet wine like a dessert wine or something. But it doesn't matter. You can mix and match. You really are adding the wine for some acidity. That's what we're looking at. And so now we have just some chicken stock. Now, if you're adventurous and you want to make lobster stock, by all means, you can do that. But a lot of times we're making the soup before we've cooked all the lobsters, because we might make the soup. Soups are always better if they sit a couple of days, but we're going to add the lobster at the end so the lobster doesn't overcook.
And that's true for like if you did shrimp instead, you want to keep that to the end because shrimp is very quick to cook as well.
Now sometimes what I'll do when I'm making those kind of traditional dishes, we add some seafood in that we're going to sacrifice the seafood. So I'll typically take small shrimp or crawfish, or if I'm using crab, I'll use the claw meat of the crab, sort of the dark meat of crab meat, and I'll add that in and we'll sacrifice that. You won't really see it, it'll cook down. A lot of our dishes, like in fact, we have a dish called lobster bolognese, and we actually season that with some shrimp, and I actually put it in a grinder and we grind the shrimp. Like in a traditional bolognese or meat sauce, you would grind beef and pork. So I make this seafood bolognese that we're using with lobster, and we grind some shrimp in there that we sacrifice into the sauce when we make it.
Nice. Okay, so we are wrapping up this segment, but stay tuned. We'll show you all the end results and how it fares, and hopefully we'll be able to taste it.
I can taste that right
now.
I mean, it does smell. But I love bacon and onion, and those two together just.
Well, and the smell is so good. But you can try it at Lobster Fest at Solu this month, but we will try it on Passe Partout coming up.